Oh, hey. I wasn't expecting to find anyone else out here. You okay? Me? Oh, I'm fine. I just wanted a break from the party, you know? I'm kind of an introvert. I can't stand being social for that long. It's pretty draining, getting to know new people and all. I hate being the new arrival. Anyway, you want a drink? I think there's some left here in the cooler. Here, I'll get one for you. I've only had one myself. Just to be social, you know? You never want to be the only one who isn't drinking. People start getting suspicious. You know, asking if you're pregnant and things. To be honest, I'm really not into this kind of thing. Parties in the middle of nowhere. I get that it's typical teenage rebellion, but, it's just not for me. But since I'm new around here, I thought I'd better make an effort. I moved here like 2 weeks ago. I really don't talk this much usually. I don't know, you're easy to talk to. Like a good therapist. I bet people tell you that all the time, right? Or maybe they say you've got a kind face, a good aura, or something like that. I'm pretty glad you showed up, to be honest. I was a little worried this was going to turn out to be a prank or maybe a hazing. You know, like Carrie. Have you seen that movie? The weird, shy kid gets invited to prom. They rig the votes to make her prom queen and then... well... then they dump a bucket of pig's blood all over her. It's really terrible. I mean, the movie's good, but what they do to her is just awful. Although, to be fair, I think the other kids had a night as bad as she did. And hey, nobody's balanced a bucket of blood in the tree branches or anything. As far as I can tell, anyway. Though I suppose, considering where we are, hazing is probably the last thing we should be worried about. Personally, I definitely wouldn't have organized a party here. Not after all the, things that have happened here. Feels a bit like tempting fate, you know? Oh. Oh, well, all right. Maybe I'm not being 100% honest with you. I lied. Just a little bit. It's a habit. Can you blame me? I'm trying to make a good first impression. I actually grew up here. I'm technically a local, I guess. I know all the rumors. Dirty little secrets. The stuff the tourist board don't want you to know about. I left a few years ago. Didn't go far or anything, but, then I think a lot of people eventually come back to their hometown. All kinds of reasons. Family, friends, debts to repay, scores to settle, hatchets to bury. Anyway, I'm getting off track. You're not here to listen to my history. We were talking about the history of the forest, right? I think this place has always been trouble. But I only know as far back as the 70s. My folks grew up here, too. And yeah, in the 70s there were cabins here. It was a vacation park or something like that. All totally normal, totally fine. But then this one group of kids rented out one of the cabins for a long weekend. They didn't come home like normal. And by the time the cops went out to check, there was only one kid left. He'd killed all the others, convinced they were possessed by demons. Some people say he chewed off his own hands. I'm not totally convinced. I heard it was a chainsaw. Gruesome, right? So they tore down all the cabins. Nobody wanted to stay in them anymore, obviously. And the kid who survived was never the same. I think he ended up in a group home or something. I don't know the details. So, nothing happened with this place until the 80s. But prime real estate. Can't let that go to seed. And that's when they built the lake. Bet you didn't know it was man-made, did you? They kept it as a vacation spot, but without cabins. Tents and RVs only. As though you can't get murdered in a tent, right? And they closed over winter, just in case. But then a bunch of kids showed up again. Kids will be kids. It's not like this place is hard to get to, right? A nice, cozy, out-of-the-way spot. Away from parental supervision. I mean, look. People still come here for that. Anyway, the parents noticed their kids never came home. And of course the cops went out again. I mean, what else are cops good for, right? Other than showing up a day late and $1 short to find the bodies. And they did. They found the bodies of all the kids, all drowned and floating in the lake. The weird thing is, they all had bruises, like someone had held them under the water. Well, that's the rumor, anyway. Like, they actually died. They're all at the local cemetery. You can see, if you go up there, you can find their graves pretty easily. I mean, they all have the same date of death. I'm not sure about the bruises, though. It could be true, but if it was, who killed them? And why? I mean, there could be another explanation. Maybe they all just went for a swim and the lake got struck by lightning. Boom. Zapped like fish sticks. Where'd we get to? Right. The 90s. Cool. Flannel shirts and grunge. It wasn't as interesting that time. Just some kid in a mask. Don't get me wrong. It was a decent body count. For an amateur. Teenagers again. Partying. The lake got closed after the drownings, and they hadn't opened it back up yet. The people who own this land the forest is on, well, they finally gave up on making it a vacation spot. They decided to leave it to the wildlife. I think they got some kind of government grant or something for turning it into a wildlife sanctuary. The trouble is, that just made it harder to find all the bodies once the police realized what was happening. The weird thing is, it depends on who you ask. Some people say they got the kid in the mask, and some people say they definitely didn't, and that he's still out there somewhere. But you'd be able to spot him, though. One of the girls at the party, she got away. and she managed to scar him up pretty good. Burns, I think. Something juicy like that. Not 100% sure. Anyway, the town just blamed it on that generation being desensitized to violence and moved on. I'm not boring you, am I? I mean, we finally made it to the naughties at least. And that was all about... I don't really know, actually. Shapeshifters, aliens, skinwalkers, something like that. Videotape ghosts, probably. It all centered around the internet, anyway. People got texts with locations, like longitude and latitude. Apparently, when you put the coordinates into Google, it'd bring a location up. And people just disappeared. No, seriously, they vanished. And there were never any answers. The people never showed up again. Some of their stuff did, like a backpack or a shoe, maybe a chunk of hair, always exactly at the location the text said. It was one of those things where everybody had a friend of a friend who totally got the text and then went missing. And I bet you can guess where those locations were, right? You've been paying attention. Yep. These woods. Every single one. Weird, right? So, the 2010s. This forest has a hell of a history. Get it? Oh, wait, sorry. That doesn't make any sense until I tell you what happened. Waste of a pun. Yeah, well, anyway, there were Satanists here. Or maybe they weren't technically Satanists. They were worshiping somebody. I don't remember. Anyway, lots of groups believe that the whole area has some kind of demonic energy around it. I mean, sounds reasonable, right? How many times can a group of teenagers get massacred before you spot a pattern, right? Like, after all, once is happenstance, twice is a coincidence, and 3 times is a pattern. And now that I'm thinking on it, there were multiple groups here, too. There was... Let me think. Maybe I can remember the names. Right. The Most High Priests of Satan. The Servants of Beelzebub. The Legion of Baal. And this one weird fringe group called, Culty McCultface. Yeah, really. But don't let the silly name fool you. The cops are pretty sure they were the ones responsible for a large number of fires. Not arson. Fires. Fires that just started out of nowhere. Isn't that wild? And they started on people. And once the flames died down, the stuff that was left behind, the remains, yeah, they all had the sign from Culty McCultface burned onto them. Creepy, right? They never managed to work out how a person could just burst into flames. Teenagers again, of course. It's always teenagers. Well, I guess that brings us to today, doesn't it? Nothing's happened yet. Except, well, I don't want to scare you. All these stories, they're probably just stories. There's a little grain of truth here or there. Someone drowned. There was a fire. Maybe a couple of people got into a scrap. A knife got pulled. But come on. Demonic possession? Cults? Internet ghosts? It's obviously not real. Still, did you hear about the escape from the nut house? You know, the secure unit. For the criminally insane? No. How do you not know about this? It's that massive building on the other side of the lake. Yeah. Once the forest was no good for, social stuff, the owners actually sold it outright to the government. They put a secure unit on it. Really intense stuff, too. Full-time solitary, straitjackets, muzzles. I heard they do lobotomies and stuff there, too. But one of their most dangerous inmates escaped a couple weeks back. And as far as we know, hasn't been caught yet. So, yeah, I wouldn't be in the woods alone with someone out there. Someone like that, at large. Not if I were you. Anyway, I've really enjoyed talking to you. You're such good company. Such a good listener. So, I'll do you a favor. You start running now, and I'll leave you until last. If I can catch you. No, really. You should probably get going. I know there's a lot of people here, but I work quickly. Humans are so fragile, you know? And secure unit orderlies are more of a challenge than partying teenagers. See you soon. If you don't run fast enough, that is.